Right, and we are live. Hey guys, I'm Stuart, and this is MLM for CEOs, the channel that is aimed at providing key insights to company owners operating within this lucrative multi-level marketing space. In today's episode, we're going to be speaking about launching your international MLM company, and here to help me unpack this information is a good friend and mentor of mine, who's a man with over 35 years experience consulting in just this episode category, is Mr. Richard Sletcher.
Hey, how you doing?
Are you good?
Stumbled over there a bit on the intro. Hey,
I did.
What's going on?
Well, let me tell you.
Okay.
So from 12 o'clock last night till 2 o'clock in the morning, I had a 4-month-old kid. I love him dearly, but he can keep me up.
Sure.
And he's the third one.
You know what they say? Hey, you've got the first 4 years are really the toughest.
Yes.
And then it gets difficult.
Okay. Should we end this now? Let's end this. I can't do it. Yeah, but I love my kids, so sure. That's good. Richard, I'm very excited about this episode. It's going to be a great one because I get this question a lot from my clients. They have this aspiration of launching in multi-territories all across the world, and it's exciting, and the possibilities are certainly there. Is it a good idea for you to do that? Would you guide clients on doing this?
Look, the challenge that you have, and we've got several South African clients who've had this issue.
Sure.
So the client gets going in South Africa, and obviously they're trying to get their business off the ground. Now somebody approaches them from Botswana and from Nigeria and from this place and from that place, and the temptation is extreme for them to say, oh, well, we'll just ship the stuff to wherever. Now what they do is they put a massive amount of pressure on the business, and they don't understand at that point all of the complexities around this. For example, when you're shipping the product out, it's got to go through customs. It incurs duties. It incurs VAT.
Sure.
The person who's buying the product inside the country now, how do they get it in? How do they get their money out? When they earn commissions, how do you pay them the commissions? Are you now paying commissions cross-border? There's all sorts of complexities about this. So what we find is, for a lot of our clients, it's a ready, fire, aim type approach to this. They get approached by somebody, oh, we can sell. We've got 10,000 people in country X. Yeah. We can sell all of this product for you. And then they just go off at it. And I say to our clients, listen, if you can't get this working in your country, adding a whole pile of complexity to your business is never going to help. It reminds me a little bit about a friend of mine who was having severe problems in his marriage. So he decided to have children. Now, do you think having 3 or 4 different children, because he landed up having 4 children, do you think that helped his marriage at all?
Of course not.
So it just piled hot coals onto what was already a really difficult situation. I said to him, what are you thinking?
Yeah.
It's exactly the same thing with MLM. Getting an MLM business up and running is a tough ask. And now if you go and add all of this complexity of trying to deal with international players, that is really hard. Now, if you've got deep pockets and long arms and you can afford to throw a lot of money at it and set warehouses up in all of the countries and have people staffing that and have people going out and running the businesses in those countries, great. But if you're a startup company, you shouldn't even think about going out of your region. As a matter of fact, I tell the client, don't even go out of your city. We launched a company here a few years ago in Cape Town. And I said to them, listen, do not even go out of Cape Town, because when we launch this thing, you don't want to be dealing with people all over the country.
Sure.
Because you spread your efforts. If you are just in this country, you can do dozens and dozens and dozens of presentations in a very, very near circle.
Yeah, you got your finger on the pulse. You can manage that.
And then you build up this incredible powerhouse in that city that you're going in. And then you say to those people, who do you know in this city? We're going to launch in KwaZulu-Natal.
Right.
So who do you know in Durban?
Yeah.
And then once you've got Durban and Joburg going, you say, okay, we're going to launch in Cape Town. Who do you know in Cape Town? And you can then spread the business out from that hub, and then it spreads fast because you've got a groundswell.
Yeah.
But if you go there and you plant one person here and one person there and 3 people there, and you're driving all over the country, all you do is you just spread yourself paper thin.
Sure.
Now, the same thing applies to the international story. If you can't get it going really solidly in one country, you're not going to get it going solidly in 5 countries.
Yeah. I guess the temptation is always there. You mentioned it before. is that one person, one key leader puts their hand up in a new territory, and then it's guns blazing and you want to go into that new region.
Well, and it's crazy.
Yeah.
Because now,
Doesn't make sense.
how do you train those people there?
Yeah.
I mean, we're busy training somebody at the moment.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about this last night.
Yeah.
And I was thinking we need to actually be 100% foot down on this. You launch this thing in Gauteng. You get it going on your doorstep. Once you've got some traction in Gauteng, we worry about the rest of the country.
Agreed.
The temptation is there to go and bounce all over the world, but that is a huge mistake. Now, the beauty is that once you've got traction in one country,
Sure.
then launching the next country is a piece of cake. So let's say you develop a team of 30,000 people in wherever. Let's take South Africa, for example. So you develop a team of 30,000 active members in South Africa. You decide we're going to launch Botswana. If you go to those 30,000 people and say, who do you know in Botswana? I guarantee you, between them, they will know 30,000 people in Botswana. Now you've got a story. There's a success story behind it. The guys are earning money. The business is pumping. You've got the capital. So you can go into Botswana. You can set up a warehouse. You can set up a bank account. You can set up the local businesses. You can set up the payment structures. And then you can ship a whole lot of product into the country. And then you can go to your team and say, right, who do you know in Botswana? Suddenly you're having meetings. Literally overnight, you can have 30,000 people in the business. And you've got traction in that country instantly.
Yeah, you just duplicate your network into a new region.
Yeah. Now you've got 30,000 people in Botswana and you've got 30,000 people in South Africa.
Yeah.
You say, right, we're going into Namibia.
Yeah.
The beauty of that is you've now got 60,000 people. You say, who do you know in Namibia? Between them, they know 60,000 people in Namibia. But also the people in Botswana know people in South Africa now. So your South African business grows. The people in Namibia know people in South Africa. So your entire network spawns a brand new network of 40, 50, 60,000 people in that new country. And you find your overall growth just explodes because the new people now have got traction. There's excitement, there's enthusiasm. Whereas if you try and dribble this thing into a country, you're going along on a flat trajectory because you don't have critical mass.
Yeah.
Or at some point, you get enough people to take the business vertical, the business blushes. And I mean, that's like winning the lottery.
Yeah.
If you dribble your business into these countries, you just never see that.
Yeah.
It just never happens.
You just sort of linear growth.
Yeah, because now it's there. There's no big deal. We're not doing a launch. It's like, it's there. It's, oh, yes, there's some people I know who do it. And you just lose all of the momentum of launching a business in a new region. Whereas, can you imagine, you build up this anticipation amongst your network in South Africa or wherever. You're in Germany, you don't go into France until you're ready. But you build up this anticipation, you build all of the stress up. We're launching. We're going to have this big launch on such and such a day. Who do you know there? Right, get your invitations out. This is when it's going to happen. People come with you. Boom. I saw this happen with Amway. When Amway launched in India,
yes,
distributors from all over the world went to India to be part of that launch. Everybody knew somebody. And Amway was up and running overnight in India. Just overnight. They were just in the market. So, for me, I say to the guys, look, focus on your bag of beans. Keep focused on this now. Get it going in your town. When it's going in your town, choose the next biggest town to branch into. When it's going in that town, spread out. And use the people that you sign up to spread out to the whole country. The temptation is going nationwide instantly. And then once you've got the country going, then look at your expansions. And you need the capital to do that because it's capital intensive as well. Yeah.
When would you say is the right time for us to then go into those new territories? What size of network? When the business blushes, the network then starts to scale, hits the critical mass. We've got X. Is it the X number? Is it what is that?
Well, if you look at the S curve, okay, so all MLM companies have got, well, not all, some of them never go anywhere.
Sure.
But let's say a successful MLM company's got 3 phases. Phase number 1 is the initial phase where you're starting to develop your network, you're getting your leaders, you're doing the training. It's very flat. At some point, you get critical mass. That's about 2,000 active agents we find, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
The business goes vertical. Now, when it's going vertical like that, you are working your guts out. You're scaling the business. You haven't got time to mess around with international anything. At some point, the business hits let's call it saturation. There's no such thing as saturation, but it hits saturation, and you find that the curve taps off. You get this typical S curve. Okay? When the business starts to tap off, what you want to do now is you want to use the launch into a new region to generate a whole pile of new excitement in the network, because people are getting bored at this point. That's why it's tapping off.
Right.
So you create all of this excitement at this point about a new region. And what happens is you create a second S-curve in the new region. You get the reciprocity, because the new region is also signing up people in your region, because people there know people here who aren't in the network.
Yep.
So when the second region is starting to tap off, now you generate excitement through the entire network by launching the third region. And you just keep on doing that. You always want to see when you're starting to hit the top of the S curve, when it's starting to taper off, you create the excitement. And you can do that ad infinitum. How many countries are there in the world? You know, if you've got a kind of product that will travel, you can keep on launching in new countries until the cows come home.
Yeah. So you went over a couple of the elements that you would need to have in place in order to go into new territories. Things like, and maybe we can do a bit of a brief dive on these. Things like payment gateways, warehouses, couriers, the shipping.
Your products have got to be approved, of course.
Yeah. So would you highlight those as key factors that you have to have in place, besides the nuances of the cultural differences between the people in certain countries? It's all very different.
Yeah.
Even if you're in France and Germany, it's completely different.
Look, you've got to do your homework. That's why it's not a good idea to dribble the products out there. What we have in our terms and conditions is that you may not trade outside of your country until we open that country up.
Sure.
And if we catch you doing it, you want to keep that as a big deal. It's a little bit like a new car comes out. Let's say Elon Musk. He launches a new Tesla. He's bringing out the Model Y now. He didn't dribble the information out there. He had a huge launch. The car was covered up. Everybody arrived. They couldn't see what the car looked like.
Yeah.
He did a massive talk, and he got everybody wound up, and then he pulled the
red velvet,
the veil back.
Yeah.
And there was the same thing needs to happen with going internationally. And I find it so disappointing, because many of our clients get so swept up in the opportunity that a new region presents, and they lose the actual opportunity of growing a massive network.
Yeah.
You know, and then their focus is split. They're trying to run 3 regions or 4 regions at a time. They've got problems with exporting. They've got problems with trucking. They've got problems with taxes, and how to put all of these problems that are just crowding in on them. And then they neglect their core region. And before you know it, whole business gone. You know, so I would be, you know, go into a region, find out, are your products viable there?
Sure. Do market research.
Yeah. Do you need any kind of what you call it? Paperwork. Certification to have your product in there.
Yeah.
You know, do you need to pass them through any boards? Whatever. Do they need an EU certificate or whatever it is? Can you open a business in the country? Are you allowed to as a foreigner?
Sure.
Are you allowed to have a bank account there? Are there any rules? Like, for example, you go into Kenya. You as a foreigner can't open a bank account without a local person owning more than 50% of the company.
Yeah.
So now you need a partner. How does that work? Who do you get involved there? Are there any structures that you need to put in place? Then find out, okay, what are the costs of doing business there? If you bring the product in, are there any duties that have to be paid? Can you bring the product in? Should you be manufacturing it locally? Do you need a warehouse? If you need a warehouse, what are the costs involved? You know, how much stock do you need? What is the time taken between you shipping the product and it arriving at your warehouse? Is this something that can be delayed? Or is there guaranteed transport? You know, is there a rail line straight into the place? You know, what are the risks involved in trucking the product in? Are there risks, for example, in having your trucks hijacked? You know, in Africa, you know, you got to make sure you got double the amount of stock you need, because the chances of your truck being hijacked is high. Yeah. You know, so all of these things you need to think through. Will the country be able to sustain the business? You know, are there enough people in it? Is there enough money in the country?
Yeah.
You know, is the market big enough to sustain a network push in that country?
Yeah.
You know, or is it just too small? It's not going to work, or is it too much poverty, or whatever? You know, all of this stuff needs to be decided, and there needs to be a conscious effort of going into that country. Otherwise, you have all the pain with none of the gain.
Right. And I guess if you're a startup business where capital is sparse, scarce, you'd rather pay the school fees in one country where you've localized everything, you've understood the culture, the nuances, the complexities, and you've either become successful or not. And on the back of success, then you have the cash flow to go into new territories. But if you just leak yourself out into all different regions, well, you're going to pay some serious school fees if it fails.
It could cost you your business, and it has cost many of our clients their businesses.
Sure.
You know, and I understand completely. You're starting a new business, you're struggling, you need the sales, and now somebody comes to you from the neighboring country and says, listen, I've got this massive network, I can push your product in, makes all the promises in the world, and you are desperate for sales. So you say, okay. And so you take a short-term gain for long-term pain, and then you discover after the fact, well, we should never have done that. You know,
I mean, I always believe that the pie is big enough for everyone here, especially in this industry. The more we educate our people on how it works, how to operate, and how to earn, and even if it's just food on the table and a roof overhead, petrol in the car, or kids through school, we need to bring more people. We need to educate more people in one country on MLM so that they can understand the attractiveness of it.
Exactly.
And again, the pie is big enough for all of us.
100%. 100%.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for that. Okay. Thank you for that. Guys out there, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you joining us. Please follow us on all of our social channels. We are on YouTube. Subscribe to our channel so you can get notifications each time we upload new content or go live like this. We're also on LinkedIn and Spotify if you're sitting in your car listening to us. Thank you to NetReady for sponsoring this channel. We will see you next time. Cheers, bye.